What is it that the world currently hates more than anything else? Every single time something goes wrong in the world, it is blamed on these people. And there is one answer to that. Everyone's favorite topic, illegal immigration. Every time, you know, someone of a certain ethnic background commits a crime or the economy isn't doing well, always the illegal immigrants' fault. Again, as of this morning, Trump has said that they will pause migration from third world countries. This is in the wake of after the 2 members of the National Guard shot by someone who was an Afghan national. Obviously a terrible thing to happen. Trump has come out and said,
I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away.
Things like this are awful. But to say that you're going to ban migration from all third world countries is quite an interesting take. And I mean, immigration is on the lips of everyone's tongue in the UK as well. They always go on about migrants coming across on the boats and how we can stop them. And it's quite often spearheaded by this man here, Nigel Farage, who is the leader of the Reform Party. And coincidentally, he is very, very good friends with Mr. Trump. Now, of course, you can see here that the estimates of international migration into the UK, you can see it's actually dropped immigration quite a bit. Below 1 million people, quite high. Migration is back up, so more people are leaving than before. But people think that immigration is a bad thing, and we'll come on to that later on. Interestingly enough, there is a clip here. So the first ever Reform UK pub is where they're visiting.
This is the Talbot Reform UK pub.
Peter co-owns the Talbot, the first pub dedicated to Reform UK. The party's leader, Nigel Farage, is a hero here. He helped to lead the Brexit campaign against the Remainers, who wanted to stay in the European Union.
It's Remainer tears. Nice.
Remainer tears. Imagine going to a pub. There's definitely someone in here that voted Remain, and it's just their local that's been transformed. 3.4% is nothing as well. That's going to do nothing.
Pilsner. It's for the ones that are going to be crying when Nigel Farage gets in.
On a Friday night, it's Domino's with free sausages and chips.
I couldn't have picked a more traditional pub, free pub lunch. I'm not so sure about Domino's. I don't know how anti-immigration that is, but maybe it's on the rise. Maybe.
It's just nice, isn't it? Because everybody's like-minded, so it wouldn't matter who you speak to. They're all going to feel the same as you.
Reform says that what it calls mass immigration is increasing crime and the cost of living for British nationals.
I doubt this pub would ever show women's football. I've just got that inkling. Could be completely wrong, but I somehow doubt the Lionesses weren't on over the summer.
They say they're fine with foreign doctors and nurses working in the health system, but not with migrants who arrive irregularly in small boats.
They'll allow some of them, but not all of them. Okay. I'm not sure if a person of mixed race or, you know, from a different ethnic background to everyone in here showed up, how receptive they would be towards them, to be completely honest.
When is enough going to be enough? That's all we're saying. When is enough going to be enough? Because at the moment we're just paying for absolutely everybody hand over fist, aren't we?
Because there are people here that need certain things, they need help with certain things, and they're not getting it. And yet people who've never contributed to the country at all are coming in and getting given basically everything for nothing.
Peter will be a Reform candidate in local elections in 2026.
We have to blame ourselves in the fact that we dangle that golden carrot. Come to us, we'll give you money, we'll give you food, and we'll put you in a nice warm bed.
Now, there's always this perception about people that are crossing the channel on boats that we're the ones enticing them. And I mean, there's massive perception that, you know, we say to them, oh, come here, you know, you'll get looked after, you'll get your benefits. And that's why they decide to come over. They look at that and they're like, you know what, that's really, really what I want. I want to go live in Newport. I want to go live in Blackpool. I want to go live in all these areas. When in reality, the places that these people are coming from are Blackpool, and all these places are lovely. I would suspect that, you know, you've got Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Syria, Eritrea. I doubt nobody really wants to live in any of these places. So as much as Ruth is saying that, you know, I would argue it's probably a lot more that they're pushed away from wherever they're from. And if you're willing to risk your life to get on a boat, your living situation is that shit that, you know, you're probably quite happy to you know, risk death and be shouted at from Ruth down the pub, who's saying that she's paying for it all, when in reality you're just trying to survive.
And the big news really is that the government's going to make it, the whole process of settling in the UK, take much longer. The big change is going to be that asylum seekers, people who are the leave granted to asylum seekers, will mean they're no longer automatically given settlement and family reunion rights.
Now again, they're talking about Keir Starmer's golden ticket to the UK. And people are saying, just say no benefits, full stop. That will end the boats coming. And again, the idea of free money being the pool here. Like I said, I don't think it's the free money that people are coming for. I think it's more they're being pushed rather than being pulled. But if we take the argument that they are being pulled, you know, we look at the state of the UK economy and, you know, which direction we're going. The biggest problem that we probably are going to face in our lifetimes is the birth rate. So essentially, you can see back in 1944, the birth rates, the live births per 1,000 people, 21 per 1,000 people. We look at it today, it's just above 10, so it's halved in that time. And now what that means for the country, essentially to maintain the population, you need to have a birth rate per woman of about 2.1. This is currently about 1.41, so it's massively below that. And that just means that we're going to have an aging population because there's not as many young people coming in, and there's not going to be the people to work when we're all old. You're going to have a skewed population in terms of, you know, age, and that is a massive, massive problem. Again, you can see the idea about the people in hotels, just above 30,000 people, which isn't that many people, but, you know, people will focus on that. Now, if you think about your typical American, and like I said, this is about America, this isn't about the UK. You think about your typical American and what they look like, you probably think of something like this. So of course in here there is there's black people, there's white people, Hispanic, everything, right? America is known, it's quite an old picture by this point, but America is known for their, you know, diversity. If you go back 500 years, it would have looked something a bit more like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't get a population of white people and black people and, you know, mixed race and Asian and everyone, right? Everyone is represented in America. You don't get that without immigration. So how can you stop immigration when you're a country that is built on it? All of this has happened because of this man here, of course. And, you know, the US champions diversity, talking about the number of non-white US House and Senate members here, constantly growing, constantly getting larger, which is really, really important. How can you go on about how you are the most racial and ethnically diverse, you know, house in history, but then be limiting the people that can come to your country? And don't get me wrong, I understand that this is because someone of Afghan descent has shot dead, you know, has been involved in the situation that occurred yesterday. But equally, if we look back to this man here, Charlie Kirk, I think we're forgetting that he was shot dead by a white person. It's not just people of Afghan descent. It's not just people that have come across illegally or immigration in general. It's everyone. You can't blame one group for situations because it suits you. Are you going to ban white people from the country? No, of course you're not. You know, I don't get how you can, you know, people talk about Trump being a racist, and I'm not going to say whether he is, whether he isn't, but you can't, like, have these double standards when it comes to things like this. You can, you know, of course this guy will get the death penalty and so on, but you're not banning his entire ethnic group because of an action that he committed. It's always the immigrants that get blamed for when something goes wrong. When the economy's going wrong, they're the ones to be blamed. When, you know, when there is an incident like this, everyone else is blamed for it, but the immigrants. I don't know. Make of it what you will, but